Jamal Bey, thank you so much for this story. This came out on YouTube Finance, August 22nd, 2020. Now, opioids is still a huge problem in America. And this is another one of those plagues that America cannot conquer. This thing has gone on now 22 years, and it has been unstoppable. Opioid crisis to cost 2.15 trillion. No amount of money can ever compensate for the pain. The United States are claiming that opioid manufacturers, distributors, and others fueled the country's decades-long opioid crisis will cost the economy at least $2.15 trillion by the year 2040. Now, when Trump ran for office, y'all, he said he was going to end the opioid crisis in the country. Did he? It's still going strong. The figure was reported in a filing made public Monday in the Southern District of New York in the bankruptcy case for OxyContin maker Purdue Pharmaceutical. The opioid plague has ravished this country as a single family has made billions profiting off of the destruction it caused. Now, the Sackler family, ladies and gentlemen, knew this drug was killing people, but they kept promoting it as safe. It was never safe. And it was highly addictive, and so many people got hooked on this stuff and suffered all kinds of job loss and everything behind it and died. And the spread of this stuff was pretty rapid because many of the doctors that were prescribing it was handing it out like candy. So between 2007 and 2019, the states estimate that their system took $630 billion hit. So just from this opioid plague, they anticipated the cost of 1.53 trillion from 2020 to 2040 are estimated to run up the rest of the tab. As expected, a Purdue spokesperson stated claims have been filed by a variety of private and public entities, including the states and territories, and it is typical for claims to be filed in amounts substantially larger than what is ultimately allowed by the courts. The company, which filed for bankruptcy in September amid mounting lawsuits against the opioid supply chain participants, proposed delivering more than $10 billion in value, including 100% of Purdue's assets, towards claimants and communities, opioid addiction treatment, and overdose reversal medicines. In December of 1995, the FDA approved a new opioid known as oxycodone, substantially, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Pharmaceutical companies reassured the medical community that patients would not become addicted to prescription opioid pain relievers. Yeah, we know how that turned out. Okay, and healthcare providers began to prescribe them at greater rates. The cost of millions of Americans becoming addicted to prescription opioids on the country's economy has not gone unnoticed. Last year, while testifying before the House Financial Services Committee, the Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell spoke of its effect on the workforce. An extraordinary number of people are taking opioids in one form or another, and it weighs on labor force participation, Powell said. It is a national crisis, really. The humanitarian crisis of it is completely compelling, but the economic impact is also quite substantial. The crisis has also cost a fortune on lost tax revenue between 2000 and 2016. Opioid misuse costs governments $11.8 billion, including $1.7 billion in lost sales tax revenue and $10.1 billion in lost income tax revenue. And you know what? They poured all this money into this opioid plague, y'all, and they still haven't stopped it. They have not, it has not improved all this time. All these people will do is tell you, oh, it's not a crime. They shouldn't go to jail. It's a public health issue. But you notice they never said that during the crack epidemic. Crack epidemic, it was a crime and everybody went to jail. And to this very day, there are people sitting in jail from the crack epidemic that never got out. Never. And their biggest crime is they were just addicted to a drug. So you see how insincere this country really truly is. You know, they're only concerned for the addict as long as it looks like them. But when the addict don't look like them, they could care less. Unbelievable. Okay. And while the states recognize their financial damage claims far outweigh any reliable remuneration achievable through Purdue bankruptcy or otherwise, the data will undoubtedly catch the attention of the cast of opioid supply chain participants embroiled in pending lawsuits across the country. On Monday, the Wall Street Journal reported that opioid distributor McKesson, Amerisource, Bergen, and Cardinal Health, along with opioid manufacturer Johnson and Johnson, made a combined $26.4 billion offer to settle the unidentified number of states. So they're saying it's 21 states. Previously turned down the $18 billion settlement offer from the three distributor defendants. Mm-mm-mm. So I'm looking at the list, y'all. It is every state in the country that have sued the pharmaceutical companies responsible for these drugs, including Guam, American Samoa, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. All got lawsuits in. I mean, this is just insane. The financial costs in the current claim by state, New York and California, are the only two states to top $100 billion at 165.8 billion and 192.1 billion respectively. Wow. So, you know, this is another thing that America has failed in. You know, they are more concerned about keeping these addicts on the street and, oh, you can't do this and, oh, you can't do that. And, you know, I did a story. This was probably back in 2016 or 2017, where they gave immunity to these opioid addicts. So if they fall out in the street and you call the police will come. The person that called won't get arrested, and the addict that's all over the street will not get arrested. Did you ever hear about that happening during the crack epidemic? No, everybody went to jail. So because I remember it very clear. And I remember watching the cops haul everybody out of a house. So let's say you went to your grandmother's house, you had crack. The police came and raided the place, right? Everybody in the house went to jail. So if that was your grandma's house, your grandmother went to jail, and anybody in that house, even if they didn't even know the crack was in the house, they went to jail. That's how they did it when they were dealing with the Black community. That's what they did. And not to mention, if you had pets in the house, they would pump bullets in the heads of your dog and cat. That's how they handled it. But with opioid addicts, let's handle them with kid gloves. Boy, the hypocrisy just never ends. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.